We should. Yes.
We call the Muhlenberg Township Board of Commissioners meeting for Monday, June 15th, 2026 to order. All please rise for a pledge of allegiance and please remain standing for a memorial moment.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment for Patricia A. Wise, who passed away on June 2nd. Patricia was the mother-in-law of Commissioner Kevin Lurch, and for Mariano Sonny Gaspari, who passed away on June 7th. Sonny was a foreman with Muhlenberg Township for over 20 years. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Just a quick announcements, more anything. We did have an executive session to discuss various personnel matters before the meeting tonight. Also, Commissioner Cerulli has a work obligation, and Commissioner Lasota is on vacation. Moving on, we will go on to the first public presentation. At this time, they'll have a conditional use hearing for the Walmart online pickup and delivery and land development plan. I will turn it over to our solicitor, Ms. Kelsey Frankowski, to handle the hearing.
Thanks, Mike. This is the time and place advertised for the conditional use hearing of the Walmart Real Estate Business Trust concerning property located at 5370A Allentown Pike in Muhlenberg Township. They're requesting conditional use pursuant to section 355-37E 3 and 4 of the Muhlenberg Township zoning ordinance with respect to a proposed expansion of its Walmart store on the property. Is there a representative of the applicant that is here? Can you just have your appearance for the record, please?
Yep. Jared Burns of Troutman Pepper Lock LLP.
I'm sorry, you have to repeat that.
Jared Burns of Troutman Pepper Lock LLP.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Procedurally, we're gonna have the applicant present its case in the form of evidence and testimony. The board will be able to then ask any questions of the applicant and the applicant's witnesses that the board desires to ask. And members of the public will be able to voice their opinions or will be able to become parties to the application if they can establish that they have standing to do so. So just before we get into the meat and potatoes of the hearing, is there anyone from the public who wishes to become a party to this application? Please let the record reflect that there was none. Administratively, the township is going to introduce some exhibits for the record. Township Exhibit 1 will be the conditional use application submitted to the township dated May 5th, 2025, including all exhibits thereto. Township Exhibit 2 will be the proof of publication of the notice of this hearing. Township Exhibit 3 will be the affidavit of posting of the notice of this hearing. Township Exhibit 4 will be the affidavit of mailing of the notice to affected property owners. And Township Exhibit 5 will be the township zoning ordinance, which was not provided to the party, to the applicant, I should say, in hard form, but it is available on the township's website. Council, do you have any objections to any of those exhibits? Now I'm going to turn the meeting over to the applicant to present his case. Where's yours?
Thank you. As I mentioned, my name is Jared Burns of Troutman Pepper Lock LLP, representing applicant Walmart Incorporated. With me is Mike Myers of Dewberry Engineers Incorporated. Applicant is requesting conditional use in connection with this proposed expansion of the existing store at 5370 A Allentown Pike, which would include a small building addition to facilitate its online delivery and pickup program in the adaptive reuse and redevelopment overlay district under section 5537A of the zoning ordinance. Thank you for entering the prior exhibits and application into the record. The planning commission previously recommended approval of this conditional use and the conditional final plan approval at its June 11, 2026 special meeting, subject to SDEI's most recent review letter. The property is currently improved with a Walmart Supercenter measuring 205,667 square feet and is located in the C2 Shopping Center Commercial District and the Adaptive Reuse Redevelopment Overlay District. The current store has been in operation for nearly 28 years. The applicant is proposing a small building addition of 5,064 square feet to facilitate its online delivery and pickup program. Within the C2 shopping center commercial district, under the current requirements of your zoning ordinance, the property should be required to have 1,029 parking spaces. The property currently has 857. Similarly, under the zoning ordinance currently, the parking for the property's parking spaces should be 10 feet by 20 feet. The dimensions of the current spaces are 9.5 feet by 18 feet. And then lastly, the maximum lot coverage permitted under the current zoning ordinance is 60%, whereas the current lot coverage is 87.6%. After a diligent search by applicant, and my understanding is the township as well, it's not clear why these nonconformities exist. As I mentioned, the property is within the adaptive reuse redevelopment overlay district. The stated objectives of which are to retain and expand existing businesses in order to preserve a sound tax base and provide employment opportunities, to pursue economic development targets that will build upon the existing commercial and industrial base. And lastly, to maintain a positive relationship with the local business community. Unless otherwise permitted as part of a conditional use application, which is why we're here, all proposed expansion projects, which would include the one we are proposing, must comply with the maximum lot coverage and off-street parking requirements. With regard to the maximum lot coverage requirement, the board may consider an increase in the lot coverage requirements, provided the applicant demonstrates first, there will be no adverse effects on the adjacent property owners. As mentioned, the existing lot coverage has been in place for nearly 28 years without a known adverse effect on the adjacent property owners. And applicant's proposed plans would actually reduce the lot coverage from 87.6% to 86.9%. Secondly, the stormwater facilities must be sufficient to accommodate any increase in impervious surfaces. Applicant here is conducting additional site investigation to confirm the sufficiency of the existing facilities. But as mentioned, the lot coverage will actually decrease from the existing conditions. And then additional landscaping features must be integrated into the overall design of the site plan as well. And I'd like to ask Mike if you'd be willing to come up and talk a little bit about the additional landscaping features.
My name is Michael Myers from Dewberry Engineering.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Can we get him sworn in, please?
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. So on the southern portion of the property, we have some striped islands that are currently impervious. We're gonna take a number of those and change them into vegetated islands to create some stormwater management. These islands were specifically picked so that they would not interfere with any of the truck traffic that is entering the Walmart parking lot.
Thank you. And then with regards to the off-street parking requirements and the two existing nonconformities there, the board may consider modifications. Again, provided that there would be no adverse effect to the adjacent property owners. Again, this site has been in operation for nearly 28 years. No known adverse effect on the adjacent property owners. And the applicant's proposed plans would increase the parking space dimensions for the parking adjacent to the proposed building addition. Mike, I'm sorry to have you stand up again. Could you talk a little bit about the change of the parking dimensions?
So with the original parking spaces being smaller than the regulated parking spaces, we wanted to make sure that the new restriped areas that we are putting in are going to match the 10-foot by 18 that we were looking for. We weren't able to expand the length to the 20 feet because otherwise that would start cutting into the actual drive lanes of Walmart, but we wanted to at least have the width of the parking spaces meet what the regulations were. So the new parking spaces that are going in are going to be 10 feet by 18 feet.
And just to clarify that those particular dimensions were at the request of the planning commission. So we were able to rework the site plan to address that request. Okay, thank you. Secondly, the standard design and dimensional provisions cannot be applied based on the existing site conditions. Here, the existing site conditions, we already have these parking dimensions in place. And while the number of existing spaces is less than what is required under the current zoning ordinance, the parking analysis that was provided as part of our application concludes that even during peak hours, only 409 parking spaces are needed to provide adequate off-street parking, which is less than one half of the proposed 840 spaces that will be in existence after construction is complete. And then third, the board may consider variation from the parking requirements, given that the proposal is consistent with the goals and objectives for adaptive reuse and redevelopment. Here, applicant's proposal is consistent with these goals and objectives, and that it continues the use that has been in existence for nearly 28 years already, while improving the existing layout and site conditions of the property for better use of the property by the township's residents. Everything that I've described here, does that sound true and accurate from your understanding of from your engineering perspective?
Yes, it does.
And then are there any specific questions from the board that we can answer?
Does the board have any questions? I just have one for the record. I'm assuming Mr. Myers would testify that the applicant could meet all of the requirements in section 355-142 of the ordinance regarding conditional uses.
So the general conditional use requirements, yes. Yes.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, at this point, if board doesn't have any questions, I'm gonna ask if anyone from the public would like to make public comment. It's a chance just to make comment on the application if you would so wish. Please let the record reflect that nobody wished to make public comment. At this point, does anyone from the board want to make a motion either denying the application or granting the application with the standard conditions that would be identified in the written decision? To grant the application? Okay.
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the conditional use application will be granted. I'll issue a written decision to you within the 45-day time limit.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. And that will adjourn the conditional use hearing for tonight.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. So, and then following up with that, Kelsey, we should do numeral 2, correct?
That's correct, yes.
All right, so I need a motion to grant conditional final plan approval and all waivers as requested for the Walmart online pick and delivery land development plan condition on SDI's most recent review letter.
So moved. I'll second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. All right, at this time, we will have our annual municipal separate storm sewer system presentation by Mr. Wall.
Promise this will be a lot more exciting than what you just dealt with. If you haven't signed it, please, before you leave, sign in, with your address and a name, stating, and if you'd like to follow, there is. This is a time we set aside every year for a little public education on what MS4 is. MS4, like Commissioner Malinowski said, it's the municipal separate storm sewer system. Basically what that is rainwater comes out of the sky and will eventually get to creeks and rivers. And how can we clean that up? So there's 6 basic measures, control measures. Public education outreach, which is what we're doing today, and we also send a newsletter every quarterly that you get, or our magazine. Public involvement, participation, illicit discharge detection and elimination, construction site stormwater runoff control, post-construction stormwater management, and pollution prevention and good housekeeping. I'll touch base on a few of those to let you know what some of these really are. Some of it is very complex. Illicit discharge detection and elimination, basically, if you look up on the screen or your handouts, there's 6 basic ones, pretty common of what you could possibly see out in the roads, streams, fields. Anywhere from oil spills in the road to sewage running into the stormwater system, yard waste and garbage on the grates of the storm sewers, people dumping paint, all sorts of things. Basically, what every municipality that holds these permits have to do is come up with a PRP, pollution reduction plan. State requires us to come up with one during every permit cycle. Our PRP is to reduce 10% of the sediment that is in the Laurel Run Creek. That's where it has been notified that there is sedimentation building up and we need to reduce that, which ultimately runs into the sewer. How do we do that? Because there is roughly 1,500,000 pounds of sediment. We have to take 10% of that out in this PRP plan, which is 150,000 pounds, 75 tons, roughly 3 triaxle loads. There's a few different ways you can do it, which we have successfully just completed our first PRP. On the very left picture up on the screen or your handout, you'll see a vegetated swale that is in the Laurel Lane Park area. And there's a cul-de-sac at the end. If you walk straight out, you'll walk right into it. And then on the next 2 pictures are pictures of the Laurel Run Creek along the Laurel Run Avenue area. If you're familiar with the area, you've probably noticed some big changes in the last few months. And that is a riparian forest buffer, and we did some stream bank restoration. Those are 2 of the ways that we decided to get our PRP. The others are non-structural BMPs, which includes street sweeping, basin vacuuming throughout every year. So that will continue forever. Basically what that is your streets deteriorate, snow plowing, people use different aggregates in with their salt, that will then get into the storm system. So we get that backed out before it reaches the creeks. So between those few things, there's the credit that we get for the 10%. Now, that's for the cycle of the permit. So permits last about every 5 years, so we will then continue to street sweep and basin back, of course, but we will also then look for funding to continue up the Laurel Run Creek for more stream bank restoration, which we are currently doing. Grants are applied for to hopefully fund it, because this is a federally mandated but unfunded deal to the townships that unfortunately taxpayers will have to pay if we can't find funding. So is there any questions on it? No, it's really exciting stuff. Very exciting.
Thank you, Jeremy. No questions? All right, we don't want to undersell that this is a significant cost to the township that we have to, as much as Jeremy, we've been dealing with this for numerous permits. It is an impact and a cost to the community to have to go through this process that is significant manpower and expense to the taxpayer, which was driven through a mandate passed down to us. However, I digress. Moving on, thank you, Jeremy, with no question, we'll go to the first public portion, time for residents, taxpayers, comment on matters of concern, that may be before the Board of Commissioners, if you are a resident or a business owner in the community, Jeremy signed in. This stuff, you're just here to observe, correct?
I'm just now.
All right, just,
Worries.
you got that. Mr. You'd like to come on up, you're signed in also?
No,
No, I'm sorry. Guys, you're up on iPad.
I know you're all thinking this guy again, but I'm back. But I want to start this off on a good note. Jim, the parks. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, I was down there with the dogs a couple times and they're really coming along, so that's a good thing. And also stop signs that were put up on my corner. Thank you, but they're broken. They don't work.
Oh.
Sorry to have to say that, but, I mean, even on my ride over here, I had a guy pull out right in front of me on River Road. And I'm still having problems with my neighbors up the street. And they just blow through the stop sign. I don't yell, I don't scream anymore. It's Saturday night, 45 miles an hour. And all I did was wave, smile. You know what I got? Excuse me? Fuck you. From the girl and I guess her boyfriend. I can only assume that's her boyfriend. Then the guy started walking down the street. Chief, a couple months ago, I asked you what I could do. Your response was, don't get confrontational. I'm trying, but also with the weather getting nicer, I've had a motorcycle, I ride to work, I'm coming home 4 times in the last 3 weeks. Somebody pulled out in front of me. I can't sit back and just continue to take it. Something has got to be done.
You notice any particular time of day or day of the week where?
I had said to you before, you come over to my house, we'll ride up the street, I will point out 10 people that do it every day. Saturdays, I'm out working in the yard, hit or miss. And like I said, I'm not yelling at people anymore, I'm not saying anything, but I will wave and I will put a camera out there. Not that it does any good, but it's just really getting frustrating. And it's the same people. I had a friend over 2 weeks ago, guy halfway up the street, 45 miles an hour, and he looks at me, I said, oh, he does that every day. He went up and said something to him. Hey, can't tell you what to do.
Okay.
But it's really getting old now. I called 911 Saturday night after all this happened, and the 911 operator is right. She goes, this is for basically life-threatening situation. I thought to myself, was that like when the guy pulled the gun on me on my yard and nobody came out? Well, nobody came out and the officer called. So at least it's on record what's going on, but it's like, what do? I have grandkids that come and visit. I have dogs. If anything happens to any of them, it's gonna be a major problem for a lot of people. Because when I was here last month, same thing happened with the same people up the street. Well, they called on me. Officer, and now something happened. It was a Friday night. Officer came Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock. Like, were they in fear for their lives that they waited 3 days to call you? I don't know. Because I wasn't even gonna come to the meeting that night, and I did. And I had said last month, I did talk to a lawyer just to cover my own ass. So I'm just trying again.
Mr. Bradley, you have something like.
Yes, I would thank you. I can back up what, Rick is here. He's my neighbor. He's a few houses down from me. It is absolutely insane. I can walk my dog, and I walk 2 pits around the neighborhood. Everybody knows I'm going through there all the time. And I can walk up to Tuckerton and just, as I'm walking up there, just watch it. They don't even slow down at all, right through all the stop signs on Tucker. Straight through. And if you're pulling up in your car, don't let it stop. You know, they'll stop. But Ashford, I walk every single night. I'll be doing it when I leave here. And they blow right. They just drive straight through the stop. No brake, no nothing.
And I wouldn't even have a problem if they slowed down.
Okay.
But I mean,
It
you're,
is
I'm
pretty
telling you,
fast.
you're talking 45, sometimes 50 miles an hour. And when one of the officers came out to my house, I was explaining who the one young woman was. Stop, we know who she is, we know all about her. Why is she still driving? She's had numerous accidents running stop signs. And yet she still does it.
Chief, if we experimented with the cameras, like my daughter seems I get a letter every week at Temple in Philadelphia, because it says registered my name. Do we have to pass any particular ordinance for that to be enforceable, that we can experiment with it over in that area? Because I just got passed on South Ferry going home the other day, so it's every day,
Yeah.
and it's getting to the point where it's out of control, let alone the electric bikes that ride in the middle of the road, the kids on a scooter. It's a matter of time. I don't know the answer. That's just one problem area.
Yeah.
But what can we do proactively to at least start to experiment that this legally can be something we can do in troubled areas? What can we as a board pass to ensure you have enforceability for such a system? I know there's a cost to it, but at least experiment.
You and I actually just talked about this a week ago, 2 weeks ago. To my understanding, we can do that for traffic light violations. I don't know that the law allows for stop sign violations for Kansas. Does that make sense?
Either.
Yeah, but like I said before, chief, you know, it's like, if you get the license number, you send them a ticket.
We have to be able to identify the driver.
See, I don't think that's right myself.
I get it all the time when it's on the turnpike.
Well, that's what I was gonna reference too. They take your picture going through the construction zone of the license plate.
Yeah, if you go through anything or go speeding, they're not looking at your face.
Correct.
They
Get
look
the
at
license
your license plate, and is that different on the turnpike than it is in our back, or municipal roads? is what I'm saying. Okay, I didn't know that, but I was just like, how can they do it there, but we can't do it here, you know?
There's only, to my knowledge, there's only 2 exceptions where you don't have to identify the driver. One was the bus patrol program we got involved with.
Yeah.
So they passed special legislation to do that. And another one is now traffic violation.
Okay.
And everything else, in my knowledge, unless something changes, you must identify the driver. Now, if the camera is able to identify the driver and we look at their photo from their driver's license and we can say, yes, it's that person, fine, but you have to be able to identify.
Well, I also just think, I mean, you set an officer there halfway back the block. Once every other week, he starts writing tickets, word's gonna get around. And maybe, like I said, at least they'll slow down.
Well, we did have detail in the area, because shortly after the last meeting, I was in contact with the chief to make sure that we were addressing that particular instance. And he said we have already had detail overlooked.
Okay.
So we'll get together, we'll chat, maybe there's a different way we can approach. You know, maybe we have an officer walking the street or playing or something, we can,
Yeah.
and that's why the chief is asking, is there a particular time of
Oh,
day?
yeah,
And I know it does happen in the morning, and again, as we've discussed this ad nauseum, it's not just a Muhlenberg issue.
Right.
So, I mean, last Friday, I'm in a funeral procession. And I cannot tell you the number of times that people cut through, you know, got between us, cut us off, you know, in a funeral procession. So, you know, I don't know how to address these things short of making people retake their driver's license test every 5 years, which I'm not opposed to, believe me, I'm not. You know, it's not a God-given right that you can get behind the wheel of a vehicle and drive somewhere. That's a discussion for Harrisburg.
but see, now they have it where, correct me if I'm wrong, it just took effect, you can't be on your phone, you can't even be like this.
Correct.
And I see it every day.
Yeah. And that's true, yeah, I
You know,
everybody.
and granted, that's off the beaten path of a highway, but still, it's like, you know.
So, all right, let the chief and I talk again, and we'll see if
Fair
we
enough.
can't retarget. I mean, you know, we've been monitoring that area pretty heavily,
Okay.
because I know the Tuckerton Road, as heavily as that's traveled. And I know with Ashbourne, people are kind of skirting up the side to get up to the top and back through the. pocket gates.
I mean, if I had to pick a time, I would say Monday through Friday between 2 and 5 maybe. With people coming home from work, but like I said, it's, I can take you up the street and 1, 2, and just point, so can Mike, I'm sure. It's the same
Yeah.
people that do it all the time.
Just so I understand, Chief, so we would need the state to act that if we could use photo enforcement at other traffic control devices besides a traffic signal. Hey, you got a good contact at the state, I hear, so. But I mean, that's not to make light of it, but what other tools can we have in our community like ours? We can't have 50 police officers or a tax
I
manager.
fully understand.
And I know you understand that, right? My point being is, we have to give our law enforcement community the appropriate tools that you don't have to have 50 people sitting at stop signs, because it is now getting to the point with school out. I mean, it is out of control, at least on the west side, as these rhinos, especially even out the electric stuff, is going, your guys can't be, there's mine, everything. I just, whatever we had to do as a board to try to help, and it tells you to make sure that everything we're saying is true. I know the chief probably knows, but we have to lobby to try to get us, you guys, some tools, because it's just, because if they start getting hit with, like I have, from my daughter going to Philadelphia, because the car's registered in my name, it's a substantial amount where they start to accumulate points after we take the test and things happen. So anyway, not to get off my soapbox, but anyway, we can help you guys and help us craft something we can lobby for is the only thing we can do right now, besides put a guy there right now, in trouble there.
Well, it's like I said, I mean, I understand, there's other stuff going on, but it's really getting to the point where it's becoming a major problem. And like I said, Mike lives right down the street, he sees it, and he's in the middle of the block. And they're flying down. the
One problem at a time, Mike lives on the street, you can't.
It's a story for another time. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak on the first public portion? Right. I will move on to the consent agenda. I need a motion to pass the consent agenda. Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. Anyone have any unfinished business? All right, move on to new business. The motion to approve payment of bills presented by the Director of Finance and Customer Service.
Move.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. Motion to accept the applicant's offer to grant time extension for the 800 Whitman Road Land Development Plan.
I'll second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to authorize the township manager to put out the yard waste grinding and container contract project out for bid.
So.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to approve the second amendment to the Bern Township Fire Services Agreement.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Jim, can you just expand a little bit?
Yes.
Or Chief Luco, just, so the public is aware.
Bern Township recently acquired the old Greenfields Fire Station on, Burnville Road. And as part of the fire services agreement that they have with Bern Township, they wanted to offer that space to the fire company. And so instead of having a separate agreement that covered the fire services as well as the use of the station, we've wrapped it all together, and this is our second amendment to the overall fire services. So it's allowing the fire company the space to store apparatus at the fire station at the airport.
Thank you, Jim. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. We are going to table item E. There's some clarification on that item, and we'll move on to item F. Motion to authorize the fire chief to extend a conditional offer of employment to a candidate on the fire civil service list.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to accept the civil service list for police officers as certified by the Civil Service Commission.
So motion.
Second. Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Motion to authorize the chief of, we got one up there.
No, it's two separate.
All right, motion to authorize the chief of police to extend a conditional offer of employment to a candidate on the police civil service list.
So, sorry.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Motion to adopt resolution 2026 08 to reimburse the general fund for fire apparatus expenditures.
Motion. Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Motion to approve payment to Click Fire Equipment for a 2025 Pierce Saber pumper in the amount of $312,589.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to declare the Oak Forest Department fire on June 11, 2026 disaster emergency.
Motion. Second.
I mean, just to talk about this a little bit, I'm sure everyone's impacted in.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone can say enough for the chief and his leadership and all the things that have taken place down there. So, because I know we would all say that at the end, but the community's involvement in our response and first off, no one being hurt is one of the most important things. And the first question I think that we all asked is making sure that are the people and no one in the apartment complex, but was impacted. So Chief, I know how tireless you worked, and it seems like you're busier now than I can ever remember with the alerts we get. It seems like every 30 minutes you guys are going out, so we just can't thank. I know that was a very dangerous situation, so I'll let my fellow commissioners comment on it also, but it doesn't go unnoticed by you and your team, so thank you. Thank you.
I think a lot of first responders, I mean, this is a huge operation, but could have been a lot worse. Thanks to everyone.
Yeah, well, the rep and I were up there in at late evening, and then we ended up staying from close to when you guys left, and I couldn't believe it, Alex, you did a great job, like, it was awesome. You had, I was talking to other people down on the other side of the building, down by the Turkey Hill, and they're relaying what you're saying. And they're another company, you had it under control, it was amazing. Seeing the equipment out there in action was awesome. I don't always get to see that kind of thing. So that was really, I hate to say cool thing during something like that, but, to see how everybody got together, even the Red Cross, other fire companies bringing in food. That food truck was amazing. Just amazing to see the police, same, Randy, I mean, everything, just all working together was flawless. They were great. So thank you for doing what you do, both of you.
Thank you. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Yeah, we don't not have the board of appointments this evening or any other new business. Anyone else who wish to speak under the second public portion? Seeing none, we will move on to staff comments. Mr. Dunbar.
Sure. I just want to thank everybody that does use the Go to Muhlenberg app. But I just want to make a kind of a reminder, everybody that does go on here to be patient, that, when there's complaints on there and officers are working on these, there's a due process, and that due process time well exceeds 30 days to get into the court systems or to get resolution for a complaint or something that took place. So again, please be patient. Thank you.
Hi, Steve Joseph.
Nothing this month.
Hear me?
Just to touch base on the stop sign thing, Public Works is gonna get very aggressive on stop bar painting and the word stop at stop signs. I don't know if it'll help, but we're trying something.
Thank you, Jeremy. Dawn. Thank you. Chief Hoover.
So I don't think the public is, unless they look at our website, is generally aware of how busy we are. This past month, we responded to just a little bit over 1,900 calls for service. In addition to issuing 437 traffic citations. It's a very common complaint about traffic issues, you know, as you said, not just in the township, but all over. Part of the issue that we face is we can target an area for 2 or 3 weeks. Within days after we leave, it's right back the way it was. Commissioner Lasada actually said it best, you know, about a year ago, is trying to change human behavior, and if we could do that, some people, the citation will work, others, it won't work. Right. So I really have.
Thanks, Chief.
I don't have a whole lot, just a touch on May for us, 154 calls of service, 84 of them were in the township. Last 2 weeks for us have been very busy, day-to-day calls to events such as World War II weekend as well as Spring Fiesta this past weekend, so you've been hanging in there. I appreciate the kind words and stopping up. It was, as you guys mentioned, could have been a lot worse at Oak Forest. There's no, he had not, the fire marshal, state police fire marshal, has not released definitively what the cause is and may not be able to be determined. But they believe that it was somewhere in the ceiling area, which kind of makes more sense of why we had so much fire. So I'm sure eventually they'll come out with determination. So,
Thank you, Chief.
yeah.
What's your mind? That's sure. So after the fire, people are probably aware, but there was a lot of ill or wrong information posted on social media about that. There was no one identified as setting the fire. There was no one arrested. But it's, you know, both of us were inundated with those types of things, as we to the township, and never happened.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief, for clarifying.
Everything indicates that it could have been accidental in nature, not even human.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. You mean, those media's not always right.
I did hear that.
James.
No planning commission meeting this week. We had a special meeting last week to address the Walmart project. And in case, I don't know if you've already covered it or not, but June 19th is the first movie night at Jim Dietrich Park. And the summer concert series starts Friday, June 26th.
Thank you, Jim. All right, we'll move on. Commissioner Burkle, you'll be the first.
I'm just gonna go back to the stop sign thing again, just, we were, I know it's not, and you guys are doing everything you can. I just want you to know that, you know, I think Mike said it best, sitting up here, like, how can we figure out, like, how to help? We know we can't put a cop on every corner. And I'll be honest, with the technology today, they know you're there before you got there, you know, but before they get there. I use them. You know, we all do Uber, I mean, not Uber, the one of Waves, that's it. And, you know, I just want you to know that your force does an amazing job. It's just, you're right. You know, what you said is human nature it's the tough part. And today, it's pretty freaky, you know, and these kids, instead, a lot of times it's kids that I see, you know, and I know that we were kids once too, but it's a bit different today. You know, I used to do a burnout in the McDonald's parking lot in my grandfather's car, and he got it in the mail, you know? We got the ticket in the mail, and I still had to pay it. He knew it was me, but you know, those days are over with. So I do understand the cameras, and I didn't want you to think that, you know, Rick or I are like pushing for this, and it's the worst area in the township, but we know you're doing great, but I'm on here now, and I'd like to help try to do whatever we can to make them safer. And, you know, these things to, you know, kind of calm down a little bit, you know, and Mike also brought up about the electric bikes and stuff. Man, so many times I live right by two parks, you know, it's like they're flying all over the place out there. So it is, and I know what he's gonna do. So
A lot of the electric bikes comes down to parental supervision.
Yes.
Don't buy it. Yeah.
yes.
But we actually are planning on doing like an information thing throughout the schools when they reopen, and also on the newsletter. about basically what the rules and regulations are for electric bikes, scooters, et cetera.
Yeah.
And they have to follow the vehicle code.
Sure.
They have to stop at stop signs. They can't speed. You know, but as we all know, until somebody gets hit and then it's our fault because we weren't doing it.
Sure, maybe, you share that, for us,
And night out.
No, yeah, definitely. I'll see what I can do on the state level too, because there's a whole bunch on that. I'll see what I can get.
Thank you.
Yep, got it.
Thank you, Commissioner Lurch.
I know the fire department probably is getting most of the press lately, but, you know, with the warmer weather, you know, I know we'll see an uptick in the number of crimes and aggravated things and people just kind of losing their temperature because it's getting hot out. So the best we can do is, you know, we need to try to stay level headed. We did have an incident take place that also could have gotten very ugly where we had 4 officers injured. Thankfully not seriously, but I did reach out to the officers to wish them well in recovery, and to thank them for their actions and making sure that that particular incident did not escalate into something even worse. So it's just, you know, we're coming into summer and we just have to do the best we can to, you know, keep our cool and not add to the problem. So, thank you everybody for coming out. I want to go back to the Walmart for just a second. You know, our documentation for tonight was over 200 pages long. And even though the Walmart discussion seemed to go fairly quickly, of those 200 pages, 50 of them at least were dedicated to the Walmart plan. So it was a lot of reading to do. A lot of detailed legalese. I'm glad you have a solicitor to help us read through that stuff. So, thank you all for coming out.
Thank you, Commissioner Lurch. Yes, think, just not even counting ambulance, you know, 2,100 calls between them over there in 1 month. I mean, it's crazy the amount of calls that we're responding to as a township. 2 real quick things. First, a thank you to all of the volunteers, our parks team, and who was at the info tent the whole day. That was a wonderful event. If you didn't make it down to Spring Fiesta, aka Taco Fest, beautiful day, great participation. So I thought it was a wonderful event for our community, and more to come, and more things, as Jim said, coming down to the park. One other thing that I'd really like to reinforce, because we will not see you again until the 3rd Monday in July, July 4th. So that's already a very, 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 very busy emergency services. As much as we can communicate the rules and regulations regarding a Saturday, July 4th day, which will probably entice more parties, fireworks. So I don't know, one day, I think we might have, Jeremy, even put stuff on the public works trucks or educate our community on the rules and regulations. Especially, you know, I just knowing where I live on the west side, you have a lot of new residents who are going through the first time that have a big open park behind them. Whatever we can do to constantly reinforce that if, you know, they're caught, they're gonna be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I'm just very concerned about it being on a holiday weekend with how busy we already are. So let's do everything we possibly can. And if it means appropriating funds to do something, I'm sure my fellow commissioners will do that through either public service announcements, advertisements, whatever we need to do. But we always have some problems and we just can't be everywhere. So Joey, if you and Joel put your heads together, that's whatever we can come up with, just to continue to educate everyone on that before we do get somebody hurt. So we always tend to think of that being reactive as proactive as possible. So appreciate everyone coming out and have a wonderful week. Thank you.